Arrow? Don't bust don't work on water! Unless you've got power!
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SCPopCast, Episode 7, Pop to the Future. We're going to do 2014 Year in Review. Let's do this.
Run for it, money!
Scare children.
Scared me.
That's what I do.
Run for it, money! You're in a time machine.
And this is the year 2015?
October 21st, 2015.
All right, another year in pop culture history, and we're still here. They haven't asked us to leave yet.
Nope. They think about it.
We're going to do kind of a year in retrospect. Got a little bit of a longer episode today. A little treat for y'all. So, yeah.
I think let's get right into what the biggest we've been promising people we're going to talk about. We haven't done it. We're going to talk about it right here, right now. Flash and Arrow. The crossovers, the mid-season finales, pretty much the first half of the first season of Flash. We're going to get into it right now. So let's do that.
Balls deep.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
We're not pulling out.
No.
Nope.
Raw dog in
Actually,
it.
you know what? Let's not talk about it this time. Next time.
Back it up.
So I think we should start with being this is the first season of Flash. We should really just start there and just kind of talk about how we're liking the episode, or the episode so far, how we're liking the season so far, and kind of what we liked, and then we'll get into the crossover events.
I'm very happy with how Flash has started off. Like, you can definitely tell it has a different tone than Arrow, because obviously Barry's a different hero than Oliver is, and he's had different experiences that have shaped him. They've both been shaped by some type of tragedy, obviously, Barry, his mother being killed. But I just really like watching Flash because it is more of like a comic book show. You've got superpowers, you've got supervillains, and I really like his supporting cast, with Harrison Wells and, Caitlin Snow and stuff like that. And what's the nickname dude?
Cisco
The
Ramon.
nickname dude.
That's all. Yeah.
He's way better at nicknames than you are.
Yeah.
There's one thing that you failed to mention about the difference between the Flash and Arrow being a hero, and that is the salmon ladder. Barry has no salmon ladder.
No, and it shows.
It shows.
Yeah.
It's sad.
What's a salmon ladder?
That's that.
They-
Climbing up with just your
gosh.
hands in the bar.
Did you see that video? I think someone on Reddit tried to do it and failed miserably. It was pretty awesome.
I can't even do an upside down push-up. I'm not going to try to do a salmon ladder.
Yeah, I know. I like it. Obviously, there are two different tones, but it's good that they're set in the same universe. The Flash benefits greatly from what the Arrow has already kind of laid the path for as far as being a TV show. People have accepted this universe with the Arrow, so now it's easy for them to just fit right into the Flash. And I do like that they're two different ones. The Flash seems like that show just takes place mainly around the daytime, whereas Arrow is mostly nighttime. And that's kind of the parallels to Batman and Superman that I think that they have. Is one is going to operate more at nighttime in the shadows, whereas the other one is going to have superpowers and do things a little bit more.
It makes a big difference on the show. It sets the tone really to have it that way as well, because Arrow is a much darker show than the Flash is, in a big way.
And I was going to say that Arrow benefits from the Flash because while Arrow, I guess you could say, keeps Flash more grounded, Flash also gives Arrow the ability to be more outlandish, if that makes sense. Like, to show that Arrow can fit in that type of DC universe. So, yeah, they complement each other very well.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think the showrunner even said, we didn't want to do superpowers on this show at all, but now that Arrow or Flash is doing so well, we're going to consider doing more of running into people with superpowers and things like that.
Yeah, it was right after the crossover, I think, that he did that. He's like, we saw how Oliver's worked in the Flash's world where there are superpowers and metahumans, so I think we're going to start to see a little bit more of that in the Arrow world in Star City.
Yeah, kind of seeing how Batman deals with people with superpowers. It's like it's not all about brute strength. It'll show that Oliver's actually a brilliant tactician, and that'll be awesome too, because then they can keep showing his backstory, like how he's been working with Amanda Waller and Argus and that type of experience.
I think that's one thing that's great about the Flash too, is that he has superpowers, but he can't use them every time to defeat somebody, and he's had to work with a team to be able to defeat them, figure out a different way to approach the villain or to defeat them. So it's definitely made for an interesting TV show, because Barry Allen's not trained like Oliver is. He doesn't have fighting skills, and he's shown that he can punch really fast, but he doesn't know how he can do that yet. He doesn't really know how to operate and fight that way.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of it is just coming from the different villains that they've already shown on the show. Captain Cold, for example, they've hinted at Grodd. So there's a lot of excitement there. And you're just watching it like this is the first season, the first half of the first season, and you're already going there. Like you're already making references to Gorilla Grodd. You already have Captain Cold and most of the rogues showing up. Like what? It seems like the sky is the limit on this show of what they could do and what they're willing to do. He's already called the Flash, and that helps because Harrison Wells has some link to the future, so he knows he becomes the Flash. So they're definitely not. I always compare these shows to Smallville, where it was just like a lot of setup for something that never happened, was what Smallville was like. These shows they'll hint at something that's going to happen, and then it's like the next week they do it.
They're paying off really quickly.
Well, and then so that kind of goes to show that Smallville was kind of that front runner to that, and they've learned from their mistakes, because obviously Smallville was a good show. It lasted something like 9 seasons, but I appreciate that too as a viewer, because I'm cool with you having a big story that you're trying to tell, but don't bait me along for seasons at a time and then I get one payoff. Give me a reason to keep watching.
Well, you never saw anyone in their suits in Smallville, even like when they had Green Arrow and you saw him in a suit, but you never saw like they had Aquaman and they just were all in like jumpsuits, like track suits. That was it. Like that was the extent of it, and that was just really weird. So. But I think that this show is awesome, and it just makes Arrow that much more awesome, because then they have the crossover event like they did. That crossover event was amazing.
Yeah, it was. One of my favorite parts of the first part of the crossover event is where Diggle meets the Flash for the first time.
Yeah.
He's sitting there and just throws those fries everywhere. He's like, "Oh, you're real fast." That was awesome.
Just like, nobody else is freaked out by this.
Yeah, exactly.
He's in reality, like he's looking at everybody like, how is this not bothering anybody else? How is like his
he is like us,
really
like he is like a normal person, and viewing it. Like,
he was definitely our point of view.
Yeah, exactly.
And then a few scenes later, he's like, "Do you think he does everything fast?" And you're just, and Oliver's like, "Dude, let it go."
Yeah, he just keeps talking about it.
Like everyone's just cool with it, but yeah, Diggle's not. But I love that. And then I love that they had the argument of like who could win in a fight, like Flash or Arrow, and they're just sitting there like having this battle. And it's arguments that geeks have every day in some internet forum. We're just like, well, Arrow has training and he is a skilled, fighter, and he is smart and a tactician is whatever. And Flash is just fast. Like Arrow's gonna win hands down. That was a really good nod to just geeks everywhere. I thought that was awesome.
That's great, because they're both such a good balance that there really wasn't a clear winner that came out to say, okay, it was for sure the Flash or the Arrow, because I think that they both put it up pretty well in that. And I think Cisco calls it out and he's like, it's a tie, like at the end, and everybody's like, no, Arrow won, no. So
I don't know. Arrow was getting pretty messed up there at the end when he started like cyclone punching him there.
Yeah,
at
you
the
gotta
end.
hand it to
That
him.
was so weird how he's just like getting punched, but the like
he was
you see
moving
he's just
really
like,
right.
ooh, yeah.
I kind of thought that was probably pretty humbling for him too, for Oliver, because like that was almost like when he was fighting Deathstroke. It was really nothing he could do. Well, Deathstroke on the Mirakuru, but yeah, I thought was really cool to see, because there was nothing he could do. He couldn't hit him, barely.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, that goes to show, it's about the team that supports you. If it wasn't for Harrison Wells and for Diggle showing up, that fight could have turned out very differently.
Yeah. But he wouldn't have gone into that fight. I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but he wouldn't have gone into that fight not having some sort of backup.
Yeah.
That's kind of where that comes into play, where he's a lot like Batman that way. But I that just reminds me of something. Like, I'm getting concerned that the Arrow can't beat any of his like main bad villains by himself.
Oh.
He always has somebody else help him.
No, he beat Merlin by himself.
Diggle helped him a little bit. Softened him up a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying.
He went into Ra's al Ghul by himself. Now, he didn't beat him, but that was one time where he wasn't having backup or anything else.
Well,
so
we
far.
We
He
saw
got
how
his
that,
ass handed.
we
to
saw
him.
how that went down.
Right.
Yeah.
And he can, like, he'll take on those petty, like, you'll see him take on a robber.
Yeah.
In, like, an alley.
And he's just like, yep, still got it.
No, didn't he beat the Valentine's Day chick?
Oh, come on. Cupid.
Yeah.
She was probably a villain, like a criminal, for probably 3 weeks before he beat her. It's
To
not
his
like,
credit, though, he beat her after he fell onto some railroad tracks. Tell me that wouldn't mess you up.
that would mess me up pretty good.
I'd be okay.
That's
You
true.
would land it like
Falling
a
around
cat,
the tracks every
right?
day, yeah.
So do you think? So I thought it was weird about the crossover how Harrison Wells knew Oliver Queen was Arrow.
I didn't get that. I still can't put together how he just deduced that.
Did he deduce it, or did he have prior knowledge?
I'm with Kyle. He's from the future. I would not be surprised.
We don't know.
But-
We don't know if he's from the future or if he is working with somebody from the future.
There's no reaction to that. Like, he's like, oh, so you're Arrow. And there was nothing. Like, nobody was surprised. Like, yeah, that's right. He's Arrow.
Well, there was a little bit of shock, like
Maybe from Oliver's face, but not from everybody
Felicity
that was in the
was
room.
a little shocked.
Well, I think they were just kind of like taken aback, like because if you think about it, like a lot of people in that room already knew who he was. Like obviously Barry knows who he is, Felicity knows who he is. Didn't Caitlin and Cisco know who he is? Because when they came to Starling City before, when those Mirror Crew guys were going around stealing stuff, I swear they did. But
they
no,
they didn't know who they knew who the Arrow was, and they knew who Oliver Queen was, but they didn't know that they were the same person.
Okay. But yeah, I kind of got that they were kind of like shocked, like,
well, yeah, because it seemed like Cisco and Caitlin were just like, that's crazy, right, Felicity? And she was just like, oh, shit, you know? So I think that really at that point, it was just so shocking. But I don't know if it was just deducing it, because then even Cisco was like, yeah, I thought it might be Oliver Queen. He was on my list of potentials. Of course, it was a list of 200 potential people, but he was definitely on that list.
is that
Wasn't Joe West in the room at the same time as well? And he wasn't just like, oh, I
I
swear
don't
he was in there
remember
too.
if Joe was in there.
I think they mainly just showed Felicity's response to it, and she was looking pretty shocked, like, I don't know how to handle this. So
One thing that was weird to me was when they are arguing, Joe and Dr. Wells are talking to Barry about don't work with the Arrow. The Arrow is a vigilante. This guy is bad news. And then they find out he's just like, hey, come back to Star City or to Central City anytime.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's okay with that. Oh, it's Oliver Queen. It's okay.
well, Joe says,
Well,
he's
he
like,
was
I
a
don't-
murderer.
Yeah, well, Joe says, like, I don't agree with your tactics, but thank you. Come back anytime.
But when they're giving Barry, like, I get it towards the end when they start saying that, but when they're giving Barry the talk to just, like,
Yeah.
flip the script all of a sudden, like,
That was weird.
I don't know.
But I guess when, you have the hero and all of a sudden he could easily just turn and go evil when, for whatever way, then at that point they're just like, oh, okay. Well,
I think, thinking about it now, Oliver just really proved himself to them.
that he
They
had
were
good
skeptical about it,
intentions.
exactly.
Well, he stopped killing even before that, and that's what Barry's argument was. Is like he doesn't kill anymore.
Yeah.
Is like he did do that, but he doesn't anymore. He does have more brutal tactics. He will torture people, but I really like that it shows kind of that flashback aspect of like when he didn't torture people and what had happened.
Yeah.
Like how so many people died, and that's what makes him do what he does.
Yeah.
One thing to me, and this is going back a little bit to the beginning of Arrow when he was killing, it reminded me of Dexter a lot, just because it was like, I'll kill people, but it's only going to be bad guys
Yeah.
who I think should be killed, and it was up to him. So I kind of like that aspect where he was killing people, but he thought it was okay, even though it's really not okay to just kill people. Like, it was pretty interesting, that aspect they took. And then to turn him into a hero the second season and try to get you to forget about all the murders that he essentially committed, but also let him remember that and let the show carry on, and he still kind of has to carry that weight of, I did kill some people. Like,
Because now he's
Really
trying
good
to
writing.
become that hero, and he's trying
Yeah.
to overcome the groundwork that he already laid for
Yeah,
himself.
exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
like, and they tied into that perfectly too, because remember when he got injected with like that fear toxin by whoever that dude was? I don't think it was supposed to be the Scarecrow. It was supposed to be someone
No,
else.
the
It
Count.
was
No,
Count.
not the Count. It was the other guy who came back and refined the
dude
Count's-
that was like that wore the mask that looked like
No, not him. It was the other dude. The guy from the actor who played him was in Armageddon. He played the Russian that guy.
That was the Count.
He basically he's like another Count.
Another Count.
They're like it's basically like there will always be a Count version.
Yeah. Anyway, but that was the first time when he got ejected with it, and he saw his greatest enemy as himself.
Yeah.
Remember, and so that ties into it perfectly. Is that he's trying to overcome everything he's done before.
Then he got his ass kicked by himself.
Jumping over to Flash, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but every time he runs, there's garbage everywhere. Like that city needs a different
That city
plan.
is disgusting. Like
every time he runs in, there's papers and everything. Like outside, no matter like inside is a little bit more understandable if he's in a building, but he's outside and running. There's just garbage and papers flying everywhere. I get it's for effect, but it's like they need to get a different waste disposal unit, like a team going through there.
On top of that, how many times or how pissed do you think Iris was every time he would leave that coffee shop at the end of the night? You know, she's closing up and cleaning. He comes to visit her and he blows out of there and messes all that shit up.
Two things happen.
She just got done marrying the ketchup bottles and she's like, oh,
Two things happen. She's fucking livid, or she's like, I'm gonna let the opener deal with this. And the opener comes in and is like, no fucking closers.
Yeah,
they
it
don't
doesn't
do
do
anything.
shit.
And then she watches the security tape and is like, God damn it.
God damn it.
Because she sees Iris just sitting there doing
just
nothing.
talking to
Opener's got this.
talking to a stranger. Just bringing her boyfriend after hours. Yeah. So
talking to herself more like it, because he's probably vibrating so you can't see him in the camera.
That is so weird, but it makes so much sense.
I know, that was the part I was going to say next. It's cool because, and how he can, your vocal cords, it's all on vibrations, like how he can change his voice and he move his face so quick that you can't see it. That's perfect.
Yeah.
I wish that was his power, that he could control his vocal cords.
Just that.
That was it.
That's it.
He's on the master of prank calls.
Who is this?
Who do you think it is? Does the Gremlin song?
Do not feed Wally West after midnight.
Oh my gosh.
So, all right, so let's talk about the mid-season finale of...
No, we didn't talk about the second part of the Flash crossover.
Sorry, The Brave and the Bold. You're right. I'm sorry.
Back it up.
Because that was really cool too, because like he shows up in Oliver City and like he's like, hey, we ain't in Central City, you're gonna do things my way. And I just really liked the end of that episode. The only thing missing from it was the Eye of the Tiger playing.
Yeah.
He's like, we gotta go do something. If you watch the end of Rocky 3, that's exactly how it was. He's like, oh yeah, I've learned some stuff. He's all, really? Well, he's all, I still can put an arrow in you. And he's like, no, you can't. I just like that ending where they're like running at each other and like it just ends. You don't know what happened.
Stephen Amell has
They
said
shook
on
hands.
Facebook that you will find out who won that fight.
Really?
Yeah.
Who do you guys think it'll be then? I'm gonna say Arrow. I like the Flash a lot more, but I'm gonna say Arrow.
Yeah, I think so too.
He's more skilled.
Well, he did take him to that warehouse. I wouldn't be surprised if he like
Yeah.
booby trapped it. I wouldn't put it past him because it's
No.
about winning, not
Yeah,
fighting
that's
fair.
true. And the only reason that Barry won was because he wasn't himself. He was angry and he wasn't holding back. He wasn't a nice person. So he was letting himself go and just completely take on Ollie. Whereas when he is himself, he'd probably be a little bit more cocky and hold back a little bit to be like, see, I got you. Kind of like throwing one punch and be like, what you going to do now? And then get beat up thereafter, you know?
Well, that and on top of that, like when he let himself go, like he really didn't have any regard for what happened to Oliver. Like
Yeah.
he didn't care. Like
Exactly.
if he killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if this one, he probably does have those mental blocks in place to keep him from hitting someone too
Right.
fast or anything. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So you're right, exactly. Does Flash have the capacity to beat Arrow? Most definitely, but that's the difference between Arrow and Flash. Is Arrow, like I was gonna say, it's not about fighting fair; it's about fighting to win.
Mm-hmm.
Arrow will cross that line; he'll do whatever it takes. So.
Yeah.
That's a smarter way to fight.
Yeah, I thought that was really awesome, and just how Cisco and Caitlin came and they're like, "Oh, we just wanted to
Arrow
see the
Cave?
Arrow Cave," and it's like we don't call it that.
We don't call it
Another part too that I remember, I think it's from the Flash episode was. Flash says something to Ollie, pretty much. I don't remember what it was, so we'll just say he was like, "Oh yeah, we gotta find Captain Boomerang or whatever." And, Arrow's like, "We'll talk about you giving silly code names to your villains later." And Flash was like, "Oh yeah, do you want to do that over lunch with Deathstroke and Huntress?"
Yeah,
and Huntress
just
like point.
I kind of going back just a little bit. I love that part where Captain Cold like has Barry pinned down, and Cisco and Caitlin show up with the other freeze gun, and he's like, yeah, this is a freeze gun 400 times more powerful than the one you got. Then when he leaves, he's all, yeah, this is just the vacuum cleaner from Star Labs.
That was pretty great.
Yeah, I loved it.
Dude, that whole show for me is just when Cisco does any type of nickname at all. He's
that's
so
when he
good
said it too. He's all Captain Cold.
You think it would get old too? It's like, man,
It
he's giving it every
doesn't.
time, but they figure out a way to make it work.
Well, because it
every
fits
single
his
time.
character. It fits like
Exactly.
he's like the fanboy.
Yeah.
He's us in that movie.
He's more of a
that show.
fanboy than Barry,
Yes.
which Barry was a pretty big fanboy at
Yeah.
the beginning. So that's. But yeah, no, I thought that the Arrow episode was good. I thought that was awesome how he was standing there with Boomerang. They were both standing there, and he's like, "Oh, I have these bombs, and there's 5 of them, throughout the city." And Flash is like, "Oh, I can't be there 5 places at once." So he just goes and gets one person and
one of
takes them
them.
to the bombs.
That was cool.
That was way cool. Yeah, I thought that was just a perfect ending. That crossover, I was just watching it just giddy the entire time.
Both of them were very good. Yeah.
I want that to be. I don't know why they wouldn't release that in like a Blu-ray just together.
That'd be fantastic.
I would definitely buy both of those. I hope both of these series go on for a decent
don't see
amount
how
of
They
time.
just need to make a third show that's either Justice League or just the Flash and Arrow team up, so that I can get like 3 doses of that all the time.
Yeah.
Just never leave your house.
No.
Take your pants
Well, if
off.
they do Supergirl and cross it over, it's going to be, they could have it be a very similar tone.
That'd be awesome.
And if they did Titans, haters, they could, that same thing, very similar tone. So it's
No,
just
these
going to
two
get
shows
better.
have so much going for them that I see it very hard to cross over like a third TV show.
But it's
in
like,
there.
do you think Lightning can
Especially
strike
on a
a
different
third time? Because if you think about it, like, I mean, we've gotten very lucky to have someone like Stephen Amell who loves the character and obviously loves the universe, so obviously that shows on screen. And then you've got lucky with Grant Gustin, who plays Flash. Obviously, you can tell he loves the character and he loves that universe. So that's what I'm saying. You think we can get lucky a third time if they do a Supergirl and like...
Do you think a Stephen Amell and Grant Gustin would allow, if somebody was going to come share their universe, do you think they would just let them be nonchalant and shitty about it?
Yeah, but we've seen it before, is that when studios are like, oh no, we want to go this way with somebody, like, I just don't know if... I would hope that they wouldn't ruin it by like...
I just think they'd start like spreading themselves too thin, because Greg Berlanti, who's essentially the showrunner for both of these, I don't think he's going to be heading something over at CBS. He's doing it over at CW. But CBS, they're probably going to have somebody else in charge of it. There's no way that he could really put himself out there for like 3 shows and keep it at the level there. I mean, maybe he does, and
If he
Lightning
could,
will
that
strike
would be
3 times.
amazing.
But
Yeah.
Maybe
I don't see it happening.
try, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But
Yeah.
it's not gonna. I don't think that will impact. The only way it would impact the quality of Flash and Arrow is if they continued. Like, let's say they made a Supergirl show and it sucked, and so it got canceled after 1 season, right? Then I don't think that would be such an impact to Flash and Arrow that those shows would suffer. But if that show was awful and they kept it going for 8 seasons, then I think that could start to dwindle the quality. But I mean, even if you had a Supergirl show that didn't work out, but you could still have the actress come back every once in a while and do a cameo or something. I don't know. You could just. I think that it's worth a shot. I don't want them to just not do stuff because they're afraid that it might not work out as well. I wouldn't have told. If you would have asked me, do I think that a Flash and Arrow TV show would be probably one of the most popular shows on TV right now, I'd tell you you're crazy.
Yeah, especially Arrow. Like, I could see more Flash because they've done one before, but I think what's really helped Arrow, and I don't know a ton about the comic book story of Oliver Queen, but I think what's really helped them, as bad as it sounds, is like a lot of it kind of mirrors like some of the Batman mythos,
Right.
and I think that's what draws a lot of people in, is because it's this darker hero.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're both awesome, and so that mid-season finale, both
Oh my
mid-season
god, let's start with
finales,
Flash.
oh, dude.
I think that we've all been waiting for since the very first episode.
Yeah, since you saw that there was a man in a yellow suit, in the in the kind of this cloud that killed Nora Allen, I think we've all been waiting for Reverse Flash. I'm going to tell you right now, I didn't think we'd see it for probably 3 or 4 seasons.
That's what I was thinking too. I thought they would just keep kind of teasing. I'm really glad that to me, that sets the tone for the show. That's saying, hey, we've got big plans for this show. Like, we don't need to hold just this one character out for 2 or 3 seasons. There are more surprises to come, and that has me really excited.
Yeah, I was surprised that they revealed it so early in the season. It's not even like half.
It's not even out of the first season. We know
exactly,
pretty much.
and like I feel like Reverse Flash to me is probably the Flash's biggest villain. Like,
he is one of the biggest.
So like it's almost like having a Superman show and having Lex Luthor be the first season like bad guy. What else are you gonna do? Not saying that's a bad thing at all. Like, I'm just so excited that you're so confident in your show that you're willing to do stuff like this. And then, we found out who it was, or who's, I guess, working with him. So let's talk about that. So he Reverse Flash, man in the yellow suit, goes to try to steal that tachyon device.
Yep.
The tachyon device does what? Does anyone know?
It has to do with...
It allows them to travel through time.
Yeah,
That's what tachyon particles are
manipulation.
for in science, quote unquote.
Science rules. So he tries to steal it, fails, whatever. So then Barry Allen and
Wells, they try and convince the McGee from the other corporation to let them borrow it so they can set up a trap.
Did you know? Was it you telling
Tina
me?
McGee.
Yeah,
Tina
it's Chris.
McGee.
Was it
Christina.
you were telling me
Yeah.
that is the same actress playing the same character?
It's the name. So it's not the same character in the context that they were scientists who owned like a corporation, but it is the exact same actress who plays the woman of the same name. So in the original Flash series with Barry Allen's dad, the guy who plays his dad, what's that dude's name?
John Wesley Shipp.
Shipp, who played the original Flash. She was like a scientist. She was kind of like a Cisco and Caitlin mixed into one. She was like his support team. But yeah, it's same name. In the old show, her name was Christina McGee, Tina McGee, and in this one, her name is Tina McGee too.
That's crazy.
That's cool. I think it's so cool that they're tying in that old, or not tying in, but that they're using the old, and Mark Hamill's coming back as the trickster.
That'll be interesting.
I'm starting to wonder, are they gonna tie these shows together somehow? I mean, it'd be very easy. You have the Flash who can travel through time, so they
shared universe that started like
there's going to be an
20
episode where
years
John
ago.
Wesley Shipp is the Flash, and then they just go.
There was an
that
episode
way.
of the Flash, the John Wesley Shipp series, where he went in the future.
So this would be interesting.
It could be so awesome.
I think that they could do it.
And what if he showed up in the old suit too, the one that was made out of like an
yeah,
old
absolutely.
underwater, because it was made out of like an old underwater
Scuba
suit.
suit.
Yeah, that could.
Yeah.
If he showed up in that, I would jump
Foam
out the window,
muscles.
dude. Yeah.
I would lose my mind. So they get the tachyon device and they set a trap. The trap is a force field that you can't get through even at high speeds. So then, but they make Barry go away, which is stupid.
Yeah.
That was dumb. So they make Barry leave the area so that way he does it because he's too close to this because he killed his mom. Okay. So they set the trap for the Reverse Flash. He's in the force field, and Joe's like, I'm going to get some answers, right? And so then he goes and says, why did you kill Nora Allen or whatever? And is that, so do we think that is Wells in that costume? Because Wells is sitting there in the wheelchair.
Yes.
I'm going to say yes because of the whole future past thing, and also Wells has the ring, and when he goes in to look at the yellow suit and put the tachyon device onto it, he starts to vibrate his voice and changes it, and he says,
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh,
in a
that's
different
true.
voice.
So do we think that
I
Wells
love
is
the
from
Flash ring.
Do we
Yeah,
think
that
that
was
Wells
awesome.
is from
I
the
didn't see that.
future, or do we think that someone else is from the future?
I think he is from the future. He somehow got
Yes.
stuck in the
Yep,
past.
that's exactly it.
And he's built this empire to lead to this moment. Because if Barry Allen did not become the Flash, then there's no way that he would be able to become the Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to make sure all these events take place so he can then come back and rescue himself, which is what he's doing kind of right now.
And do we?
Yeah.
So the theory then being that he used that one meta multiplex. He used his ability. He got his ability by stealing the ability of that other.
Are you talking about the energy
Blackout?
dude who
There's
could
the
steal
Blackout.
Blackout who could take his energy? So
Yeah.
he used that power to then take the power from multiplex to then duplicate his body. Is the theory?
That's what I'm thinking is that he's got, so he pulled the DNA from Multiplex and the DNA from Blackout. He pulls the DNA from multiplex so it can be in a couple places at once. I think it has temporary effects. He can't recreate the power where he can completely use it all the time, but he can use it, sparingly for maybe a few hours, let's say.
Because remember, it was Wells' idea to keep them all down there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was his idea to turn that into a prison.
Right. So then he takes him, and then he gets out of the force field, beats up all those dudes, but then just stares down.
So here's what I think is happening. At this point, I don't think there's been any time travel besides when Barry Allen's mom gets killed. And I think that's Wells when he first gets stuck in the past. That's Wells when he goes back. That's him when he first gets stuck in the past.
Like, so what do you mean? So just
so let's go like this. So let's say the year is 2030. Wells has time travel. He goes back in time, okay, to where Barry Allen's a kid. He kills Barry Allen's mom, but then he doesn't know how to get back into the future. He can't go back to the future. So he's now stuck whenever he arrived in Central City.
Yeah, like 20 years.
Almost like by killing his mom, he set off a chain reaction that made it so the Flash never became the Flash, therefore never giving him his powers. What's up, quantum physics?
So he had to stay there
I think
to
that's
make
what happened.
sure.
Flash is Flash in the future. Reverse Flash is there in the future. They fight each other. Reverse Flash says, you know what? I know how I can stop this. I'm going to go kill his mom. And then he goes back in time to do that. Gets stuck in the past, and he's like, oh shit, I've got to fix this so that all these events, because I just created a ripple in time.
Yeah.
I've got to fix this so all the events stay. So what happens now is we skip to the future, present time, when Wells has Reverse Flash in the
force field.
In the force field. What I think is happening there is that he's used Multiplex's ability to make himself in the wheelchair as Wells and make himself in the yellow suit. Because notice how why would the yellow Flash be running around from the future in present time if he already had the tachyon device? Because you see Wells then go put the tachyon device onto the suit. And
Well,
says,
think
Merry
about
Christmas.
it too. When he says that, he's like, "Oh, you can't run through that force field." Obviously, he ran through it just fine to get Wells in there. So it's like, what if he just duplicated his body inside of the force field and disintegrated that body like so quickly, like that he just.
Well, the force field was breaking down, but it's almost like Wells did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Like rigged it. But then then Reverse Flash stares down Eddie, and Eddie's like, why didn't he kill me? Why didn't he kill Eddie?
Because he takes out all those guards around Eddie.
Right. But
So they're definitely, like, Eddie is an early descendant that came before.
He's either
Wells
like
and
maybe
Lysian.
Eddie is
Harrison.
like his great some sort of descendant, and like really Wells is like his great grandchild.
Yeah.
So if he did something to Eddie, then that would undo him.
And I hope that's it. I don't want it to be overly I know it's already overly complicated.
Yeah.
But I don't want it
whenever
to be,
you do time travel.
I don't want it to be overly complicated with Eddie. I think that'd be just weird. Like, something happens and he becomes a Reverse
I think
Flash.
he's a red herring. They're trying to throw us off.
I think it is
I
because
think
it's
so.
Eddie Thawne and not Eobard.
Eobard.
I
But-
think that is what it is.
So then the next question comes kind of into play so then at the end of the episode,
Well, we haven't even talked about. Let's talk about what happens right after he takes him into that force field, and they call Flash.
Right.
Caitlin sends the SOS. Flash shows up, starts fighting Reverse Flash outside, starts getting his ass kicked.
Oh, yeah.
straight up.
And like it looks like he's about to get his ass kicked again, and then we get an awesome cameo from Firestorm.
That was
Firestorm
awesome.
comes and saves his ass. Fucking Robbie Emile, and
Ronnie Raymond.
He's all Reverse Flash like, hey, our race isn't finished, and takes off. And what I always thought, what is weird is like I thought that Firestorm had to merge with somebody to be him, but it looks like he's just himself right now.
I think he's merged.
I think he's merged. I think it's like sharing of mind.
That's why the other guys, because I think the other guy's mind like maybe screws him up, and that's why he's like, I'm not Ronnie.
Not Ronnie.
Okay.
Don't call on me again. If he was still Ronnie, he'd be like,
But that's what I thought was funny.
I'm
Is
okay,
like
don't worry about me, and then he would fly off. But he's like, I'm not Ronnie. Don't call on me again.
he's like, don't contact me
Living
again.
as a homeless guy.
How did she contact him? Did she send him an SOS?
No, they were looking for him in the sewers.
Well, I know, but like towards the end when he showed up and he saved it, did Caitlin send him an SOS to come help?
I think so.
And then he's like, don't contact me
He's
again.
homeless. How did he have like a cell
Right?
phone?
And then he's like,
He
don't
went to 7-Eleven,
contact
got a burner.
And then he's like, don't contact me again. And then flies away, just like casual about it. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But that was just weird. But I thought that was really cool, though. It seems like he could
Why
be
didn't we ever think about this, dude? Would you watch a Firestorm separate series?
I'd have to see more of him. I
I'd
like
have to see
him
more.
in this small dose that we've seen him in. It was really cool and it worked really well. I just don't know how he'd be like standalone.
Yeah.
That's why I think a Justice League show would be really good. Not even a show, like maybe just a couple episodes where we have a ton of cameos from people who will be in the Justice League.
That could be cool.
Potential, yeah.
That could be cool. Just
Because
like,
I don't think they'll ever be able to say, you know what, let's do a full-on Justice League show. It just seems
Not with all the people
Well, that's
that
how-
they would need.
Yeah.
That's how they did. It was an unreleased movie. They did a Justice League like made-for-TV movie, and it was only released in like Europe. And the John Wesley ship Flash was in it, and it had like a Guy Gardner Green Lantern. It had like
Oh, I do. I read the
Fire.
Wikipedia on
That's
this.
cool.
yeah, you can look up the trailer on YouTube, and like some really fat guy is like Martian Manhunter. It was weird, but yeah, they did like a Justice League, and there was a Green Lantern in there, and then there was like
That's pretty sweet.
Fire, some rando people. But yeah, so I mean, it's definitely something that they could do. It's probably I'm sure they're considering it. It's probably on their wall, their whiteboard or anything. But so then, all right, so Firestorm flies away,
Yeah.
and then they're at the Christmas party, right? Did I skip anything from those?
Nope.
No.
So at the Christmas party, and they're like, okay, where's Harrison? Well, or where's Wells? And he didn't really feel like coming. And they show him. He's back at the
secret
room, the future room, and
Secret garden.
We just kind of touched on this. He puts the tachyon device. He has the flash ring on. Puts the tachyon device on the thing and says "Merry Christmas."
And if you notice, most of his wounds are like almost completely healed.
So, yeah, so he says Merry Christmas, and then so at that point we know, okay, Harrison Wells is Reverse Flash. So we all kind of called. Nobody was in some degree at
I
some
think they
point.
did really good with how they've kind of set his character up because he is a time traveler, obviously. Like, I'm not going to say 100% that what I said is exactly what happened. I think that's my theory, that he came from the future.
Yeah.
But it's great that they use H.G. Wells, the time traveler, the author of the time traveler, for this. Like, that Harrison Wells even does that. I wonder if that's going to be acknowledged.
If they
in this
ever do like
universe
his middle name.
Yeah. So let's say that he reveals that he is the Flash, and
You think
the
he's
time
Barry
travelers.
Allen?
Huh? I don't know about that. But let's say that he reveals. Sorry, the Reverse Flash. I meant to say.
Okay, I was like, wow.
So let's say he reveals, he's like, okay, you found me out. I'm the Reverse Flash. Didn't you get it? H.G. Wells, the time traveler. Like, you guys are so stupid. Do you think that they would acknowledge?
I think they
that?
would.
Yeah.
I think that he wouldn't say it or somebody, but I think Cisco would be like, we're done. We should have got that. What I think is interesting, so kind of going back, that just reminded me of his whole, coming back to the past, because that was a question that Joe had for him. He was like, it's weird that you
showed up at the
exact same time.
Yeah.
And he's like, look up this person who's his wife, and Joe's like, no, it's cool. I think what might happen is you're gonna find out, maybe in a season, that if Joe had looked up his wife, it would have been a young, like either a way young or a way old girl, and maybe Harrison Wells basically assume somebody's identity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so he would have found out if he looked into it a little bit that they're definitely not the same person.
And he's collecting their social security right
But-
now. and
That's how he started Star Labs.
But by
Social security
but by
check.
being so confident in that, look him up. Joe's like, no, it's fine. That could come back.
I just love the
He dodged a bullet.
banter between Wells and like most people. Like even when he was talking to Reverse Flash, he's like, he was going back and forth about how he knew that he could repair himself, and he's like, I am very smart, and like just the way that actor Tom Cavanaugh delivers it, like
That's how he comes off,
my
the cadence
opinion,
that he
is
has
one of
and
the
everything.
standouts
Yeah,
of that show.
absolutely.
I love his performance,
Even when he has no lines, like when Flash Barry is like, this guy's faster than me, and you look at Wells during that whole scene, he's just sitting there smirking like, yeah, I am faster than you. Like just being a little shithead.
That's why I hope that we don't lose Wells as a character very soon. I really like Wells.
It could be cool if they find out he is the Reverse Flash. He becomes this master villain and is always there throughout the series. Like, comes back and he's always there. Like, starts like a Legion of Doom. Starts
That'd
this
be cool.
team of super villains.
Well,
or
the
whatever.
rumor for the next episode, not rumor, but I think you find it online, is supposed to be Revenge of the Rogues.
Yeah, so
and it's supposed to be like also they're planning on starting the season off with a bang. I
Yeah.
think so.
That'd be great.
So then Cisco brings up that the lightning, when the Flash runs, is yellow, and when
Or
Reverse
red.
Flash, when the Flash runs, it's yellow.
It's yellow.
When Reverse Flash runs, it's red. Because it's opposite of their suits.
Oh, okay.
And so he's like, I read the descriptions of what you saw. There were 2 lightnings colors that night when Barry Allen's mom died, and he's like, so there were 2 speedsters there, which I thought that was an awesome reference. But
finally brought the word speedster.
So there's 2 speedsters there. So that could be the Flash from the future is also somewhere.
What I think would be awesome is what if let's just think, what if the Reverse Flash and Harrison Wells right now are 2 separate people? Well, no, let's say they're both Harrison Wells, but a future version and a past version.
Right.
So 2 separate, not one person in the same place.
Right.
And what if future Flash comes back too? And what if we have 2 Flashes squaring off against 2 Reverse Flashes?
That could be cool.
I think that would be insane, like an older Flash. Because if you look at the newspaper headline when it keeps showing Flash has disappeared, that suit is different
That
too.
That suit is very much more of a comic book suit.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Like
very.
more New
It looks.
52.
That's
If
what I
you
was
look
gonna
at
say,
it,
yeah.
it's very. It seems kind of like bulky, kind of like the John Wesley ship suit. You know how that one looked kind of bulky?
A little more thickness to it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how that one
Almost
looks to
armor,
me. So,
in a way.
it definitely could be. But then there's also a thing that I saw on the internet that I thought was very interesting. If you watch the scene where Flash is kicking, or Reverse Flash is kicking Flash's ass in the stadium, if you slow it down, it almost looks as if there's another speedster there as well. And there's a scene where basically Reverse Flash goes to throw a punch, and then it almost looks like an arm comes in and stops him. And it happens very fast. Like I was like, this
Red
is,
or yellow?
I didn't look into that. I didn't look into see if there's like different lightning color there, but the arm looks red, like it's a Flash, like another, like so.
Oh no, that just wouldn't make sense if like.
I would say look it up. It's worth looking it up and checking it out. I just thought it was very interesting.
Maybe it's production error, like the boom mic got in the way.
and it very well could be, but I was like, this is just some stupid internet theory. And then I looked at it and I was like, that looks like.
I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, these stories, like with Arrow too, they're so well put together. Like I wouldn't put it past them to do something like that, like to set up the foundation for something next season.
I just hope that someone is sitting there just in their office, just like, we're fucking nailing this, because they are. And that we're talking about this.
Lines of code, like, this is
our minds are blown right now.
And a talking monkey.
And we haven't even gotten to the Arrow mid-season finale.
No, yeah, and well, I think that pretty much wraps up Flash.
There's one thing I wonder. So there are all these security cameras inside Star Labs, right? Why hasn't Cisco just been like, hey, Professor Wells, I just saw you stand up out of your wheelchair and walk through a wall. Just wondering what's up. Can you get back to me? Thanks. I don't know what that is. Because they're always looking at the security cameras like, oh no, what's his name? Like, blackouts in the building. Oh, this guy escaped. Professor Wells, you're walking through walls and standing up. What is it?
Argument could be made. He's smart enough to clear that out.
You're telling me you never itched your leg either? Like no one ever picks up on that? Like, so let's say if he's like,
he's very smart, and
Yeah.
if he does it really fast.
Tell me, you try and get an itch on your leg and try not to itch it. That would drive even the fastest man in the world crazy.
That's why you just casually roll up next to a desk and just like.
He just pretends that he's got something to wipe off, so he's like, oh, and then he wipes it on his socks, but he's actually itching his leg.
a couple of times.
He's like,
He's got a whole system.
That feels great.
Everybody's just looking at him.
I just don't like the continuity error.
Or like
I can't watch the show anymore.
Yeah.
I want to see him like fall asleep in his wheelchair, and then like he has one of those dreams where you kind of kick your body, and his legs like, your legs moved.
It's like, that was weird. What's going on over here?
Well, you know, when you're asleep, your neural system actually reconnects.
Yes.
You're not paralyzed anymore. Sleep paralyzation is not
I just want to
fair.
see him like drinking coffee and spill some hot coffee. But son of a bitch, just stand up real quick. And you just see Barry like,
Or like some villain shoots him in the leg.
or he's just like, keep it cool, be cool.
and he's like sweating. You see him. He's like, are you okay? You can't feel that, right? No.
No, I'm just imagining these are new pants.
Yeah. He's on their linen.
Can't get the stain out. Fuck.
Oh my gosh. All right.
All right.
The muscles don't look atrophied.
Now that we just ruined the Flash for everybody, cool.
Gotta move on to the Arrow mid-season
Season finale.
finale.
So the Arrow mid-season finale, I felt like I loved this episode, but it was really just a lot of build-up to...
Yeah, it was kind of slower.
It was a lot of build-up to Oliver going to fight Ra's al Ghul. And because he has to fight Ra's al Ghul because Merlin's a sly motherfucker.
Yeah, he is.
And basically...
Pretty much set him up.
Set him up from the beginning with Thea and makes her kill Sarah.
Yep.
Under some suggestion, whatever, some poison or whatever. So Thea's killed Sarah. Malcolm's plan is basically, okay, so you are going to go challenge Ra's al Ghul. You're going to say you killed Sarah because once you challenge him, win or lose, everything is settled at that point. So he's not going to come after Thea at that point, and then he'll stop coming after me too. Well, Roz will stop going after Malcolm because Malcolm's hoping Arrow will actually kill Ra's al Ghul.
Basically, just like, you got this, right?
Yeah,
it
what
is.
a total dick move.
It's actually pretty brilliant, though.
It
if
is
you think
pretty
about
brilliant.
it, because he's
Works
like
his
using
advantage.
his family, the last part of his family, against him.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it is really awesome.
And I almost started to sympathize with Merlin, like, oh, you know what? He wants his daughter.
Yeah.
He wants to keep her safe.
Yep.
But then he uses her as a pawn in his big game.
But then I'm glad though because now we're not going to have the Thea Malcolm Merlin show. She's going to start to
boring.
maybe she'll start to be not so much of a little shithead.
Well, do you think
start
that she'll
pissing
stay
me off.
around? Because they're kind of going this different direction with her. Oliver's lost all his family except for her at this point.
I think she might stick around in some capacity. I don't think she'll be like a badass hero.
I'm sick of seeing her at the Verdant. That's all I'm going to say.
Does Verdant stand for anything? Like, what is
Green.
it? Is that what it is?
Like in French, verd is green, and so I think it's another variation of...
Okay, because I was like, I never
Green.
bothered to look it up.
Maybe it's just like a cool word that stands for green that includes a V that looks like an arrow, and that's cool for them. Like they're like nailed it. Somebody.
But no, out of all of them, I kind of wanted Thea to die. Like, I actually liked Moira or whatever.
Verdant stands for green with grass or other rich vegetation, or of the bright green color of lush grass.
Hello.
She's like
Get
hooking
it?
up with that DJ.
Oh god, DJ spin that shit.
Yeah, dude. That
Yeah.
guy.
He's Reverse Flash.
It was me,
That's how
Barry.
he spins those hit beats.
It was
dude.
me, Barry.
So I slowed his voice down.
So we found this pair of Dre beats at the crime scene.
Oh, who could it be? It was me, Barry.
I just want to see him with a talk boy, like, Merry Christmas.
The father.
This is Peter McAllister.
Oh my god.
So, anywho, so then I thought that what my favorite part about that was when he went to tell Felicity, pretty much like, I'm going to go fight Ra's al Ghul, and she's like, kill him.
Yeah, I like that part too.
Make sure that you kill him because you won't kill him, but you need to kill him because he can't keep coming after us at this point. Like, if you don't kill him, he'll never stop, and he's the most dangerous person in the world.
And I think that's funny that it's Felicity who's the one who's kind of stepped up, because everyone's like, you can't go back to that person, this, and this. But, like, she even told him that with Deathstroke, too. Remember? She's like, you need to put an arrow in his head or in his eye again. Like, I really like the evolution of her character.
Yeah.
And I know Brandon's thoughts on this, but I know where he's destined to end up. But I would really like to see those two together. Hopefully they don't kill her off anytime soon.
I like them together.
Yeah, I do too.
I can't stand that. I'm not for it. But hey,
It's because you just want her to go to Flash, which
Yeah,
that'll never
it's true.
happen.
No, you want her to go to Ray Palmer.
Oh, I love
I'm
Ray
okay
Palmer.
with
Yeah, Ray is
So,
cool.
all right, so we'll get back to Ray after we talk about the ending of this crossover. So he goes to fight, which I'm watching this episode, and I'm like, okay, so now he's getting to fight. I look at my clock. It's 8 o'clock. This show's over. And I'm just losing it. Like, don't cut me off, CW. Like, don't do this to me. So then
Got the brick ready to throw at your TV.
So then he gets his sword and starts fighting it. And it's a pretty good fight. Like,
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty intense.
Definitely showed he was,
was good.
outclassed.
Yeah,
big
he was.
time.
Yeah, because Roz was just toying with him the entire time.
Well, yeah, because he actually had two swords. He's like, aren't you going to grab your weapon or whatever, or your swords? He's like, oh, yeah, I'll take yours when you're done with them.
just real quick, with your DVR, you can tell it to record a show for a longer period of time after.
Yeah.
I would do that, like, if I was you.
Well, I watch it live because I'm a fan.
Oh, you said that you've been watching it on DVR, like, don't cut this off. That's what I thought.
I would say they were gonna go to like some other.
Because
show.
I'm a fan. Like you guys are fans. You don't want to.
He's on
no,
day
I'm
one.
putting numbers in there.
But when I do record things, I do have it record for an additional
Okay.
5. But I made sure I watched this shit live. But yeah, so Roz is just confident, just the whole time. Like and then he says that line. He's like, the last time somebody challenged me was 65, 67 years ago.
65
Yeah.
years or
And I was just
something,
like, holy shit.
So
I didn't
got the
I didn't like
Lazarus Pit.
like I was like, that's a long time. Wait. Like, holy shit, that's a long time. Definitely a Lazarus Pit, right?
Yeah.
There can't be
Something.
anything else.
There's no way to bring Oliver back without that. Like, he got stabbed through the lungs. Like, there's no medical facility
And he
around.
fell. Yeah, and he's there
He had
by
a
himself
couple
pretty
$100-foot drop,
much.
if not more.
Yeah.
That was a chasm behind
Like,
him.
I was watching this, like, how is this going to end? Because you can't kill Oliver, right? And then he kills him.
And then Stephen Amell's been posting a bunch of fan art on his Facebook of him
Lazarus.
rising from the Lazarus Pit.
Yeah.
Like, that's some cool stuff. I don't know if that actually means we'll see it or if they'll use it.
I don't see how he couldn't, but I'm sure that
They could go a
whatever
different
they'll do.
direction.
I don't know. I like the guy that got to play Ra's al Ghul though.
The first time I saw him in the show, I was like, that is not that cool. But
It's because of the getup they had him in. They had him in so much stuff, but then when he
And
took
all
his shirt
those
off to
rings
fight,
and stuff, yeah, no.
When he took off his shirt to fight, I'm like, okay,
he's
I
a
see
bad-
this.
And he was saying that prayer. I was like, this dude's a
Yeah.
badass.
Not even that, but just his mannerisms. Because like my still perfect incarnation of Ra's al Ghul is not Batman Begins, but I take it from the animated series. And like I'd always call Batman detective. And just how he was his interaction there. And so this I think is the closest iteration to that.
I agree.
Very intelligent, very old from what you can tell, but honorable still in his own twisted way. And so like I could definitely see him in a weird way mentoring Oliver Queen, like if he survives that, because he was like impressed. I guarantee you that Ra's al Ghul knew it was Thea that killed Canary. I guarantee that he knew that. But for the fact that Oliver sacrificed himself, I guarantee that's going to impress
sure.
him in
Yeah.
some way.
Oh yeah, that's a good. I didn't even think about
That's a
that.
really good point.
Because you see you saw like kind of the preview for the next time, and you see Oliver sitting at the bottom of that mountain, and someone kind of walks up, and you don't see who it is. I have a few theories. I think it might be the one who will play Katana, the wife of when he's in Hong Kong.
The wife of the Argus agent, that Asian
does not
dude.
who now works for.
That's who I think it is too. I agree.
So the Asian dude is now in the League of Shadows.
Yeah.
And so I think the wife, because she'll be Katana, and she hasn't been Katana in the show at all. Like they haven't referred to her as that. She hasn't really shown any fighting prowess. A little bit. She showed a little bit when she fought.
Oh yeah,
China
she
White.
does. Yeah.
But I think that'll be her. And the point is, okay, I'm going to come save you. Put you in the Lazarus Pit. You and I are going to work together, and we're going to save my husband.
That would
and
be
you're
cool.
going to kick some ass. And that's the point of that. I think.
I think she's probably been watching her husband for a while and monitoring him to see how can I get him back. He's definitely gone off the deep end. He's on his team. And then she sees this opportunity. Okay.
And it's a familiar face.
Yeah.
She knows she's
I can
capable.
work this guy. I know how the Lazarus Pit works. She's probably put him in there, bring him back, and they'll start working
Because
together to get her husband back.
They were very blatant and they were very specific about saying that this location where they're fighting is a League of Assassins like hallowed ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's not unthinkable to think that there's a Lazarus Pit there.
Nope. But yeah, and they've just dropped too many Easter eggs for something like that not to exist. Like he said,
Yeah.
65 years ago.
A lot of people think it's Tommy Merlin. And a lot of people think that that's why Malcolm Merlin's doing a lot of what he's doing is to make it so he has access to a Lazarus Pit to bring back Tommy. I don't know if I believe that.
I can see it.
But
I don't know if
Lazarus
that's his
Pit, is,
goal.
from my knowledge, has to be something used like almost immediately after death.
Yeah.
Like it's not about resurrecting.
And
like,
Merlin seems more like he's just out for himself, and that's it. He just wants to.
Yeah, especially considering that's how I don't. But then again, who knows? Because he could be doing that for some other bigger goal. You know what I mean? Like he's always been a couple steps ahead.
Well, a reference is made online that basically said from like the first episode of Arrow, where Oliver says to Tom, he's like, "Oh, I didn't think you'd be here," and Tom's like, "What? Missed the resurrection of my best friend? Not a chance." And so a lot of people think that might tie in, like he might end up saying that again. But I don't know. I don't know if I like that. I don't care if Tommy comes back. He was okay.
Yeah, he was.
He's very unimportant, I feel like.
But I wonder, so there's obviously going to be some effects of him dying. But it seems like Ray Palmer with the Atom suit is ready to take on and start doing some fighting in the
Take his
city.
share of the crime in Star City.
Him and Arsenal. Yeah,
That'll be great.
I think that they could do it.
Well, I'd watch an Adam show.
That's what I'm saying.
With
If they,
Brandon Routh,
dude, if they
I
took
love
some of these
him.
characters that are thrown in there and gave them like their own team up TV show, like that's if Teen Titans works, they need to pull Arsenal over there.
I think
him be a main part.
I
of it.
think
That would be great.
either Arsenal or you then give Thea Queen the Speedy moniker that she's always gone by from Oliver, and you make her an archer of some kind, but she goes and works somewhere else.
They need to just stop calling Arsenal Arsenal. They need to get up and call him Red Arrow already.
Dude, every time that
Less
they
flips.
call him Arsenal, I just lose it. I'm like, that is so badass because I think it's
really
cool.
like that.
I don't know. I don't mind Arsenal over Red Arrow. I think it's cool.
I like it more actually. Like at first I was like, okay, Arsenal, but it's really grown on me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would like to see a Red Arrow, or
Doc,
even
they should just call him Dr. Flippenstein because at that point, that's all he does.
his mad flips.
Yeah. But,
Unnecessary flip arrow guy.
but anyways, these shows are amazing. I'm excited for the next one. You know, the next part of the season. It seems like we're gonna get Black Canary. We're gonna get Laurel. Laurel Lance is gonna take on the Black Canary role.
Because she took a couple boxing classes, so
Yeah.
she's
And
obviously
she's
ready
good now.
now.
Yeah,
She's
she's
ready. Doesn't need to be tortured on.
An island.
Yeah,
Well, that's how
forever.
Arsenal did it. Got this crash course.
But he got trained by Arrow.
She got trained by Wildcat.
Oh, okay.
He was a vigilante.
Was.
I'm just saying it's possible.
He's washed up.
Yeah, it's a
But
show
it
where
was a very
someone.
short period of time.
It's a universe where someone has super speed, and we're going to question this part of it. Cool. All right. Well, anything else we want to talk about with Flash or Flaro before we're done?
I think
No.
we're going to move on at this point. That was quite the conversation.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely a big part of 2014, but we'll move on and talk about other parts of 2014.
Move on to the cinematic universe of 2014.
Yes. Let's talk about it.
Hey, that's officially licensed by Marvel. Don't you be...
Is it
Oh, yeah,
really?
you're going to start
No, I
don't
getting
think
all
so.
Sue
Shit.
happy.
I was like, shit, really? Dude, don't fuck with Disney. So let's talk about movies. Let's talk about maybe what our best, worst movies are of the year. Chris, do you want to go first? Do you want to?
Yeah.
What was your favorite movie of 2014?
My favorite movie, as far as just blown away and like really happy to see, was Days of Future Past. I was really excited to see
Is that the X-Men's?
The X-Men's, yep.
Okay.
I was really excited to see Bryan Singer return to the franchise, and even though I liked Matthew Vaughn for First Class,
First
I
Class
really
is
enjoyed
amazing.
Yeah, First Class was awesome, but
I
think
like Wolverine Origins. Just kidding. Continue.
You need to leave. But no, just really excited to see him return, and I think he did probably one of the best jobs that anyone could do juggling that type of a cast, where he gave everybody just enough screen time to where you didn't feel that it was a disservice to have, let's say, Patrick Stewart on there, but yet you only got to see him for a second. Like, he had just enough to where it was like perfect, and he retconned like everything that was wrong with the X-Men universe. Got rid of X-Men 3, got rid of Wolverine Origins pretty much. But yeah, that was definitely that was my favorite movie of 2014.
What was your favorite movie?
I'm going to have to say Guardians of the Galaxy was mine. I really liked Edge of Tomorrow, and that was pretty close tie for first for me, but Guardians actually paid to go see a couple times. So it really took me by surprise because when they first announced Guardians of the Galaxy, I was thinking, man, this is just them reaching to see, like, okay, we
Agreed.
kind of pulled all the big superheroes. Let's do this because this is kind of all we got left that's kind of popular
Right.
that we could have self-advertise.
Right.
But then once I went to see it, I was like, man, they really can do anything with anything. Like, I trust Marvel at this point. That movie it had everything. It had great action in it, had great acting, had some roles like that they pulled from people like Chris Pratt. Like, he's been funny on Parks and Rec. I didn't know how he would do in a big, as a star of a big kind of comedy action superhero movie, and he did fantastic. It was very funny. Like, there was a lot of great parts throughout the whole thing. Bradley Cooper did amazing as Rocky Raccoon. That voice that he did, like, I couldn't tell that was him. Like, usually you can hear somebody be like, okay, that's definitely
did a
that
good
person.
job.
But yeah, he did a great job becoming Rocky Raccoon. Like, everything about that movie and tying it into the universe the way that they did, without kind of leaning too much on what came before, they did a fantastic job, and it was my number one pick for 2014.
I'll agree. That's actually my number one too. Is Guardians of the Galaxy. I got it for Christmas from Santa Claus, and I've watched it 3 times since then. Like, I love
that was
movie.
definitely the biggest surprise of 2000,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
I sometimes get worried about Marvel movies because they're turning them out so quickly. I'm like, are we getting just quantity over quality?
No.
Some of them are good. But then some of those I'm just like, is this just standing up on what? Is this just success
Riding the
because it's
coattails.
part of this giant franchise? Or is this, if this movie was released on its own, would it be actually that good?
I think that's Thor: The Dark World.
I think that's both Thor's
Yeah.
and Captain America.
The first one was all right. I mean, for a first Avenger movie, and the second one is arguably one of the best of the Marvel movie. Winter Soldier.
I think I just find Captain America kind of boring, but that's just me. I understand that a lot of people liked
Well, it's
it.
because
so.
it's not about his powers. It's more about his ideology and what he stands for, and that's the part about him being frozen back in the 1950s when everything was more patriotic, and now being in this time. And I think that's why in my opinion, his story arc right now is the most interesting because of what's going on. Tyranny. This isn't security. This is fear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy definitely for me, and then that soundtrack was amazing.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
I haven't listened to a
love
movie
that.
soundtrack like that since I think
Dark Knight.
I had the
Dark Knight
majority
came
of those
out,
songs already on
Yeah,
my
and-
iPod.
and what's, exactly. But what's funny is it's just in this different light, I guess. You
Yeah.
just,
I
listen to-
laughed so hard when he turned on that Redbone "Come and Get Your Love" and he starts dancing along. I was
Kicking
laughing
the
out
rats.
loud in the movie theater.
It's so good.
He's all singing with one.
That's fantastic.
I like the Rocket and Groot's voices, but to kind of counter what you're saying about how you can tell, you don't like to be able to tell who's doing the voice. That's how I felt like Josh Brolin was with Thanos. Like, to me,
Yeah, it
it's-
changed Thanos for me a little bit.
It did. I was
like,
less
weird.
excited about it. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool, Josh Brolin is Thanos. Like, it's not Thanos. It's not this other person. It's
Become
Josh
this weird
Brolin.
thing. Yeah, instead of being
Yeah.
this ominous, like,
Yeah.
extra voice person that's there that is looming in the darkness, now it's like, okay, it's Josh Brolin, and
It's Josh Brolin.
here we go.
Cool. Yeah, so that's my... Okay, let's go. Let's jump to the other side. We'll go with you again, Chris. Worst of 2014 that you saw. I mean,
Yeah, worst that I saw was definitely Age of Extinction. That was the
Yup.
worst that I saw.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to put something different on there, but that was the worst that I saw.
Yeah, that was god-awful. That was mine, too. I was going to... I haven't seen Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm going to put that out there right now, but I heard that's awful as well.
It is, but not as bad as
this.
Age of Extinction.
That I saw in theaters, I would say Amazing Spider-Man 2, because I only saw Transformers.
Well, I didn't see it.
Well, no, we're just saying
general.
overall.
Oh, I didn't see
I don't know.
fucking Transformers in
Like,
theaters.
Yeah, right. I did.
Yeah.
I had to watch it twice because I had to watch it for a review.
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
I
You
was
guys
so
owe me.
disappointed with Amazing
$9.
Spider-Man 2. I had such high expectations for the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and it just let me down. They had so much potential to do something with that movie that they didn't. Everything was bad, like from Jamie Foxx's acting as Electro to Gwen Stacy's portrayed death, something that's supposed to be this huge...
It was a changer for all comic books.
Yeah.
Like it proved the
Oh,
hero
really?
could fail.
Did they not do it? I know she does. I'm not dumb.
Yeah, I don't think they did it well at all because
No, it wasn't.
it didn't feel as powerful as in the comics that it felt. Because in the comics, they build it up so much that he's in love with her and they're dating and there's this potential future relationship that they could have, and then she's taken away from him like that, and he doesn't know if he killed her or not in the comics too. That's another thing that's like really talked about is when he throws his web down to save her, he grabs her, and in the comic panel, you just see her body limp, laying back, and you see the panel that says snap.
Or it says some sort of
There's
a sound.
there's
yeah.
an onomatopoeia that's written in that panel that describes the noise that's being made, and so you don't know if like he broke her neck when he caught her, or if she was already dead when Green Goblin threw her down. And in this one, it was very obvious that she was killed by the fall. Like,
Well, it wasn't explained. In years later after the comic, they did say it was Spider-Man catching her because it was the sudden stop because he didn't catch her and she kept going. He
The
stopped
science
her
is
all
what
of a
killed
sudden.
her.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
But no, in the comics too, it was Green Goblin that threw her off of a bridge, and Green Goblin was an enemy who was trying to take everything away that he loved and trying to hurt him. In the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I know how you feel about because you haven't seen it, right?
Yeah.
But I know how you feel. And anybody listening, if you guys haven't seen it by now, it's on you really much.
Right.
But like Green Goblin literally just shows up and it's Harry. Like he's hardly in the movie at all. He's in it mostly as Harry, but he kind of shows up for 5 minutes at the end. Hey, I'm here. We fight. I throw your girlfriend and she dies. Like I think they missed that important part of the movie too. Absolutely. Is that the villain also plays into the tragic part of it too, because it's kind of like how Deathstroke going back to Arrow.
A good friend.
Yeah,
and you don't feel that when this happens in Amazing Spider-Man. You don't feel like he's lost a great friend that's always been there for him or with him. Like, and I hate to say this because they are kind of two different movies, but like James Franco did such a good job portraying that relationship that was built, because he's this happy-go-lucky guy that's just like, you know what, Peter, I'm your buddy, I'm here for you. You don't really feel that. Like they don't give enough room for Harry's character to kind of grow in there.
That's a bummer. I was totally excited for that guy to play.
I liked him in Chronicle.
I would say I'll say TMNT. Worst movies.
Yeah, I didn't even see that.
No, it was awful. So I would say TMNT. I mean, we kind of touched on Age of Extinction, and that's pretty much the same argument. It's just Michael Bay.
Well, that's the thing.
Having his hand in everything.
Transformers, for me, I was expecting a horrible movie, and I saw a horrible movie. So I wasn't surprised. I was like, yeah, that was pretty bad. But Amazing Spider-Man 2, like the first one I thought was really good. I was like, okay, I can see this reboot happening. This is working. The first
Amazing Spider-Man was good.
It's my favorite Spider-Man.
And so that set me up. I'm like, the second one has to be better. They have to take this, with the same direction that they have been taking it. And they completely dropped the ball, and my expectations were so high going into it that I was just let down after I watched it.
Yeah, it was a disappointment to say the least.
Ninja Turtles, I felt I was going into it. I knew this was going to be bad. I knew it. I was hoping, but I knew.
Are you saying that's your worst movie?
Was just another one that I was saying is, I would say it was definitely Age of Extinction, but Ninja Turtles was very upsetting to me, I think, there's so many missed opportunities for sweet references. They don't do any of the fan favorites. Like, that's my problem. Like, there are fan favorites, and I get that you can't just like throw everything out immediately, but give us something. Like, it feels like not having Gambit in any of the X-Men movies. Like, come on. But he
hasn't been in any of the X-Men movies though.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
They've been fine.
X-Men Origins. He was in Wolverine.
That's not his fault.
So that's another point though. Is they put him in X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is a notoriously bad X-Men movie.
Gambit is nowhere near the problem with that movie.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Taylor Kitsch did a really good job.
You're saying that they?
No, I'm not saying that's what's going to make a good movie. I'm just saying, like, as a fan favorite, like, put these people in these movies that people want to see. Like, it would have been nice to see like a Casey Jones, or it would have been nice to see like a.
Well, look at Days of Future Past. We'll just mention that. What's her name? Blink.
Yeah. How
she was kind of a fan favorite, because of her powers and everything, and like hers was arguably one of the best powers to see on screen with the portals and like how she was fine. Like that was awesome. Yeah, something like that. Even though she wasn't a big part of the movie, I see what you're saying.
I get they don't want to fan favorite. She's not in the comics for very long.
But she blew up with the Exiles. She was a big part of that.
Like, I get it that you got to make your own movie or whatever, but if your fans are going to be the ones who see it and do all that stuff. So, try to appease them a little bit. And I'm just saying, there was no Easter eggs. Like, you could have had Baxter Stockman. Brandon, we've talked about this. You could have had a Baxter Stockman in those lab scenes. You could have had so many things, but then making Tony Shalhoub the voice of Splinter, and then he learns ninjutsu out of a book. I don't care if that is the original comic book. It's shitty. Well, and I don't know if it is. I can't say that because I haven't read it. But
I see this whole movie from a different perspective too, because I see what you're saying. Like, they definitely had some missed opportunities to give the audience who's older, who's more familiar with the Ninja Turtles, something to go see this movie for. There was no reason to draw me or Kyle or Chris into the theaters to say, we've got a little bit of something in there for you. Kind of like how Pixar does. You go to see a kid's movie, but they throw some things in there that completely go over kids' heads but can make adults laugh, They didn't have anything like that in the Ninja Turtles, where they say, let's give this something for those fans of the older stuff, just a little reason to have come and paid for a ticket. With the Ninja Turtles, the big reason that I see anything like coming good of it is because having kids, I saw it from a different perspective. I saw that, this isn't a movie that was made for me. This is the next generation's Ninja Turtles. This is my kids' Ninja Turtles. This isn't mine. So I couldn't sit there and put my hands in my ears and say, give me my nostalgia. I don't want to watch this. This was something that I saw for what it was, and it was a new generation's Ninja Turtles. It wasn't mine, so I'm okay with what they did. And they also said that in the second one, they're going to throw in some of those other things that we were missing. Like we might see a Casey Jones, we might see Rocksteady and Bebop and some of those others. So I'll probably say, the first one I was disappointed because there wasn't nostalgia, but I saw what it was, and I'll probably see the second one just to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I agree. I will definitely see the second one. That's where they got me, and nostalgia is a hell of a thing. And I was still excited. Like, it got me excited for Ninja Turtles again. So
that's one of the things I think that they really got right with the movie. So did you see it, Chris?
No, I just...
So one thing, and Kyle, let me know if you feel the same or if you feel otherwise. One thing that they really got right with the new Ninja Turtles movie is the brotherhood of these guys. The spirit of the Ninja Turtles, I think that they got right. The way that these guys work together and their kind of brotherhood within each other. They really got that right, I think, the whole spirit of the four.
I think it definitely introduced it and it showed that it's there, but I don't think it went as deep into their loyalty
like
to each other.
the very first TMNT, like
it didn't go as deep into their loyalty to each other as it probably could have, but kids don't want to see that. Kids just want to see cool stuff.
The reason I didn't see is I just got tired of seeing all this stuff. Like, for example, the guy who played the main villain, he was originally supposed to be the Shredder, and then they were like, oh, we're getting all this backlash because he's not Asian, so we'll just have some rando Asian dude who you never apparently see his face, be the Shredder.
Yeah, it's so weird.
And then we'll have the Shredder be a Transformer, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then we'll have these turtles or these big hulking I didn't like the design very much.
No, they looked weird.
The noses were kind of off-putting.
It goes back to my point. Like, my kids weren't bothered by the way they looked.
Yeah, and kids are gonna love that crap.
Yeah, that's what's it's
Well,
weird because now I'm at that age. I'm an adult where I'm looking back at my childhood and I'm saying that's not my childhood. But then there's kids who this is their first experience of the Ninja Turtles saying, I don't see what your problem is. This is cool. These guys are fighting. They're fighting other dudes.
So that's how you and I have different views on this, because I don't have kids, and I'm at that age too where I guess I'm more selective about what I watch.
I can see it from both perspectives, but
because I'm not gonna subject myself to watching that just to see what it's like when from the previews and from everything I've read, it's just a big turnoff. And with Michael Bay being like, aside from the first Transformers movie, like he hasn't done an adaptation like that where I was like, oh yeah, man, this was amazing. He can go continue raping my childhood. Maybe he should do a Masters of the Universe movie too, or do a fucking Thundercats movie too. He's just not good. He needs to not touch any of those franchises anymore.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, we could go on all day about the Ninja Turtle movie. So what do you guys think? What do you think was the most underrated movie of the year? That movie that you love but did not get enough praise.
My sleeper hit, I would say for sure, is Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow.
That's what I had written
100%.
I wrote that down as well. I have another one too, but go ahead.
That movie, it felt like it was the only thing this year that was original content, where it wasn't a sequel to something or it wasn't just another Marvel movie,
Yeah.
It came out of there being something that I wasn't expecting. I didn't know what I was going to get going into this movie besides that this guy's going to live the same day over and over. And Tom Cruise has really carried himself well in this movie.
I thought I was watching Groundhog's Day too, though. No, I'm just kidding. No, you're right. It was amazing.
The movie did a really good job of making me feel like this. If a video game was real life, this is what it would be like.
I love that. Yeah, I love that reference of just like you're playing a video game and you're just really bad at it. You just keep dying.
I thought it was funny because the previews when I'd watch them, like I really didn't understand what the plot was, but had Tom Cruise in it, and to his credit, he's a funny guy. Like
he's funny.
Like the movies he's in is funny, and yeah, I bought it. I love that movie. Emily Blunt was amazing in it too, and her character. And every time, like when they're training and like he'd get injured, oh, we got to start over. He's like, no, I'm fine. It's just my back, and she'd shoot him. Yeah.
And what was great too is just some of the little nuances of the movie where, like towards the end, she's like, you're watching this event take place where they're making it to point B for the first time. You're just seeing it. But then she's like, wait, how many times have we been here? And he's like, 13, something to that effect.
He's like, you never make it past this.
Yeah, so you're watching thinking that it's like up to this point. And yeah, exactly. He's like, you never make it past this part. He's already been here 100 times, and you don't know that until he says it.
Yeah.
Because they're not showing you over and over him trying to get to that point. They're just like, okay, he's here. Ooh, finally something new, but that's not new for him.
The only point I'll call out, and you guys can keep me honest on that, and it's not even like it takes away from the whole movie, but it's always a part I think about. It's just the ending. Like,
yeah,
I'm just like, how did he get back to? Why did it take him back to just that one point? Like, the other part made sense because it took him back to the beginning of that day. I get that, but like, And so I try not to think about it too much.
Yeah, I don't think there's a logical explanation. You just have to suspend your belief that he got some powers from this.
And he was able to go back to where he wanted
to.
But I do like where they left it where he doesn't say anything to her. Like, it just shows him and he's just like relieved, kind of. I did like that part.
Yeah.
But no, that movie was an underrated one.
Another one that I thought, and it was kind of not underrated, but I think the release of it was Snowpiercer. I think that it was really big when it first came out.
I think that was a foreign film. Like, that was the big thing in the reason
It was
why.
released overseas first, before it was released
If
over
you guys
here.
haven't seen it, I would definitely suggest watch it because it felt kind of like Edge of Tomorrow. I've never seen anything like that before. Like, it was a story I'd never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
And there were definitely some really weird and interesting things that happen in it. Kind of towards the end, it's just like a little bit of I wouldn't say it's like a twist, but it's just the stakes are definitely a little bit higher than you imagine them to be when you're first watching it. And there's a little bit more backstory there that you didn't understand. And Chris Evans does a really good job. Like, everyone in it, Tilda Swanson's in it, and she's just weird in it.
In a good way?
Ed Harris, yeah, just like they're all just strange characters. Ed Harris is in it. I think Ed Harris is his name. But yeah,
Apollo 13 mission guy?
Yep. I would definitely suggest watching that, giving that a watch. Just, it's so good.
I'll have to go back to it because I watched it, but I fell asleep halfway through, and then I just never went back to it.
Oh, dude.
I wasn't compelled by it. I didn't feel
I
the drive.
loved
Like,
it.
man, I need to finish this.
I liked
felt
it
like,
a lot. I thought
okay,
it was
that's
good.
what this is.
Yep.
I thought another one that, since we already mentioned, because that's what I had written down too, was Edge of Tomorrow, but I guess one that wasn't the same was John Wick. I really liked that movie.
I want to see that still.
John Wick was really, because it could have gone one way. It could have easily just been a kind of like, oh, another shoot 'em up, and there is a lot of action, a lot of violence in it, but I really like it. I like Keanu Reeves. I really like him as an actor, and it's really good. If you guys get a chance to see it, you need to.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one to drop on Redbox or whatever, so I can watch it at home. I really want to see it.
I was hesitant about it, but you've been giving good recommendations the whole time, so I'll have to check it out.
That's one of those where you've kind of got to like pick and choose like what you're going to see in the theater.
Yeah.
I can't see everything, so that's one I'm super stoked to see, but just haven't gotten the chance.
Yeah, I won't oversell it, but definitely watch it.
Do you have any that are underrated that you feel like did not get enough love? Or no, sorry, did we just do that?
I was like, I think that was what we just
did.
did.
No, overrated. The ones that you were just like, that is not that good. I don't know why everyone's freaking out about it. Any that you can think of? Top of my head was Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Really?
Yeah, I went and saw that, and I was supposed to. I was really excited for it. I was gonna see it, and then I was actually supposed to see it later that night. But I was like, this movie's probably, I've heard it's so good. It's great. I'm gonna see it. I'll probably see it twice. No big deal. I've done that in the past. It's not been a big problem. I saw it the first time and opted out of seeing it the second time. Like, I didn't go hang out with friends. So I was like, I'm not seeing that piece of shit again.
Okay, Jesus.
I did not like that movie at all.
Did you think it was horrible, or you just were like, okay, one watch, that's good?
Yeah, like,
one watch, that's good. That's what
So you wouldn't say it's a horrible movie, though?
I would
didn't
say
meet
it was
your
just
expectations?
very overrated.
Overrated?
I just didn't think it was nearly as good. Like, someone had told me before going into it, and this is probably this person's fault, is they said it was the Dark Knight of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as it changes the whole. It basically just changes kind of the scope of everything. It's just a game changer. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm ready for this then. Let's go see it. And I don't think that, like, with what happened where Hydra took over S.H.I.E.L.D. or has been S.H.I.E.L.D. since the beginning, essentially, I didn't find that so super just like, oh, that's amazing. Like, that's crazy. I did not care.
There definitely need, if they want to sell that part of, okay, Hydra's here, like, they need to make a bigger sell of it. It doesn't feel that impactful that happened.
Yeah. That felt hugely impactful
Really?
to me because it sows the seed.
S.H.I.E.L.D.
No, you guys
doesn't
aren't
feel
thinking
like a big part of the Marvel Universe right now to me.
No.
But
And
it is a
didn't
huge
make
part of it because S.H.I.E.L.D. was what was there before the Avengers, and that directly ties into what's going to be happening in the Age of Ultron, because now it's pretty much looking like it's the Avengers' job to protect the Earth, not just from like big threats like the Chitauri, but protecting them from like terrorists and stuff like that. And that's kind of what's leading into Tony, like, well, we can't be everywhere at once. That's why I'm developing the Ultron program so they can police the world and we get to go home. You know what I mean? That's maybe you guys aren't looking at it from that point of view.
Maybe that is what's going to be happening.
Read what Ultron was?
Yeah,
He's just Chitauri technology. He's a program. It's so Bruce Banner and Tony Stark create this AI using Chitauri technology and software to create Ultron. And then I think Ultron goes and starts creating, because Ultron has to create a new body. I don't know exactly like what the rest of the plot is, but Bruce Banner and Tony Stark use this technology from these otherworld terrorists to create Ultron.
And
I don't know. What
and kind of
about.
anticipating.
But his whole thought process behind it is so that they can stop fighting. That's because even like that clip that was revealed.
But what
from
does that have
Ultron
to do with S.H.I.E.L.D. though? Like that's where I'm like.
Is because S.H.I.E.L.D. was the police of the world essentially before it came crumbling down, and now that responsibility falls on the Avengers.
Like,
yeah, they didn't.
Like they said,
and maybe that's what it
this
is, and that will be cool. But I, as the viewer, I shouldn't. It should be my responsibility to try and guess what they're talking about. Like,
no, you guys are wrong. I'm sorry. That was an amazing movie.
I like the movie. Don't get me wrong. I really liked Winter
and
Soldier. I just don't feel like
I don't feel like that was as big as it was supposed
Hydra
to
thing
be.
is a game changer.
And then I felt like it was really partly there to save the TV show that sucks.
If Nick Fury had been compromised, then I'd feel like, okay, this is a game changer because this is the guy that's been giving them their and they didn't know that Nick Fury had been compromised, then I would say yeah. But because they've got their group who wins every time still together and none of them are compromised, I don't feel like there's anything at risk. I just feel like, okay, the next move, like I don't feel like Age of Ultron is going to pull a lot from the fact that Hydra is over S.H.I.E.L.D. I feel like what it's going to be is that Tony Stark and Bruce Banner created this software that becomes Ultron, and now they've got to stop Ultron. What does that have to do with S.H.I.E.L.D.? Nothing.
Well, because like I was saying, is it kind of sows those seeds of distrust because like they were already kind of hesitant to trust S.H.I.E.L.D., but they did, and then it turns out they were Hydra. So now that ties in. That's going to tie into like the whole Hero Registration Act, where it's like, you know, that's where it draws the line between Captain America and Iron Man. It was like, well, you know, the government tried to do this once and tried to stop a war, or tries to do all this before an innocent people die. And like that's the way I look at it, is it's like kind of the beginning of getting that ball rolling in that direction. That's why I was like, you know, this is amazing. So for example, the program that they were developing, stopping threats before they're threats, based off of this algorithm that determines, oh, maybe they're not a threat today, but could they be a threat in 20 years? That's kind of like with the Hero Registration Act. It's like, oh, well, yeah, you're a hero now, but what happens when you're not a hero anymore? And that's the way I look at it, is like it's very smartly put together. It's like,
I don't see how that comes into S.H.I.E.L.D. though, because that's not a S.H.I.E.L.D. thing. That's
I get what you're saying though,
because S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra. S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra, and that's
Yeah,
what that's the part I'm
So you
saying.
think it's going to drive the Registration Act? Like, okay, we can't just trust these guys to their own
Yes,
secret
that's what I'm
organization.
saying. It's a part of driving that.
But
point
nobody knew
home.
about S.H.I.E.L.D. though. That's the thing, is like S.H.I.E.L.D. wasn't an open world thing. It was secretive, and only the superheroes knew about it. It wasn't like, oh,
The
I'm driving
government
through
knew
New York
about
City,
it.
there's S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, you know. Yeah, but people on the streets, it was hidden.
Well, I think what you're saying is, so now S.H.I.E.L.D.'s not there. The superheroes are going to be like taking it upon themselves to do more. So maybe they'll be in the public eye more, and then that's what will lead people to be concerned about
Because
these
S.H.I.E.L.D.
people.
was cleaning everything up.
They
Yeah,
were
that's
cleaning
what
it
I'm
up, but
saying,
now
yeah.
now they're not as
black.
secretive because now it's people doing it with superpowers. So now it's a
Okay.
lot more obvious. People are going to get concerned about the rise in just how frequent they're seeing
Well, and
these
that
superheroes
also
do
too
shit.
is it's like, you know, the superheroes are going to be spread so thin because it's not a large group. You know, it's like what, 10 of them? Because obviously they're recruiting more people. You know, you got War Machine who's probably going to be in there now, even though he's a part of the military. But anyway,
But yeah, that was mine. Does anyone have any other that they thought was a little
it's a
overrated?
can of worms.
I guess.
Godzilla was mine. That felt overrated.
Fuck you. That movie was
Yeah, that was a good
amazing.
movie.
I did not
That
think
movie
it
was
was
so
amazing.
good.
It wasn't.
I love that
It was
movie.
a good, like, of all the Godzilla movies that have come out, it was definitely the best of those.
Oh, I
but
loved it.
I was
I
just,
lost my mind at that movie.
it was built up really high, and I was like, man, I'm so excited to see Godzilla, and I saw it. I was like, okay,
To me, it
it's a
was
Godzilla
everything
movie.
that the movie, like, kind of a reboot or whatever, a reimagining of that series should be.
It was a good
made
reboot.
How they validated that, Godzilla comes and he keeps the balance of nature. It wasn't, 1999 Godzilla where it's just like some creature who's going to destroy New York. Yeah, I liked it a lot, so I love that movie.
Yeah, to me,
Yeah.
it was just a little like, okay.
I could see that,
I
though.
saw it. It was-
I thought that was funny that they were like, "Oh, Walter White's in this movie," and then he dies in like the first 2
Yeah,
minutes.
that's.
Oh,
I was like,
yeah,
wait, he's going to be the
yes.
main character. Nope.
Yep, spoilers.
Nope.
But yeah, did you have anything?
I don't know. Most overrated.
I mean, be careful. You don't want to open up another can of worms.
I should just say Guardians of the Galaxy. No, that was a good movie, but
That was good. Fuck you.
I can't say anything bad against Rocket.
All right.
No, I don't have one.
Okay.
Not off the top of my
Nothing.
head.
Absolutely.
All right. So, I mean, I feel like that was a pretty good retrospective of movies over the last year. I feel like we had a lot of good movies. We have a lot of good movies coming in 2015. We got Star Wars. Force Awakens in December 2015. We're gonna have like Mockingjay Part 2. So a lot to look forward to. I think.
Age of Ultron, Ant-Man.
Yeah. So I feel like at this point, you guys saw The Hobbit: Battle of Five Armies?
Yeah.
Do you guys want to review it for our listeners? No spoilers. It's still pretty new.
It was the best of the three. That's about the best
not
we're
saying
give
much.
It. No,
so.
it's not. I mean, it had the, I guess I would say, the spirit of the Lord of the Rings movies in them because of the giant fight that takes place, the Battle of the Five Armies, and that really made it feel like it finally connected. And there's a part at the end where they discuss something that actually kind of ties it into the Lord of the Rings movie trilogy a little bit more, which I thought was really cool. Because you pretty much have to be very familiar with the names that they use in the original Lord of the Rings movies to get what they're saying at the end there. Yeah. And I thought that was really cool. Other than that, though, yeah, I mean, it's nothing to write home about. It was good. I went and saw it in high frame rate 3D and for the first time. That was my first high frame rate movie.
Oh, yeah? How'd you like it?
I like high frame rate.
It's weird, huh, though?
It is a little weird. Like, so a lot of it looked really good. Especially like when snow was falling, things like that. But there was one part where they lifted up Luke Evans' character, and they're like kind of passing him as like, you're the leader, you're great, and it looked really weird, like because the motion was completely gone, because that's what high frame rate does. It removes any motion blur essentially. And so when they're passing him along, like it looked like they were moving a puppet around. It was really, but that was the only thing that I was like,
high frame rate to me looks like you're watching a show in 1.5 speed.
Yeah,
like it's so weird.
It's
like it is the strangest thing ever. But I liked it. I think that's really cool though.
I wasn't too happy with that movie. I'm kind of glad it is over, because like I said, it was just kind of. Oh, there's some battles going on, and the battles were cool. But when it's funny because I went back and watched some of the other Lord of the Rings, like the Two Towers, which is actually I think my favorite of the three. Like the battles at Helm's Deep, we were talking about that, and like don't get me wrong, I know these types of movies involve a heavy amount of CGI, but some of these people have a point. Like I think it was way too CGI heavy when it came to that. Like you go back and look at battles like at Helm's Deep, and they had tons of real extras. And tons of other extras and stuff like that. Like they could have put more effort into it. I think.
Out of all 6 movies, The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbits, what is your favorite? Like, if you could pick one.
Of all 6 of them,
yeah,
one movie to rule them all.
One. Wow. I can only say The Two Towers because I've only saw the first Hobbit in that. But.
I would say...
Is that a hard question?
Return of the King, because everything's like at its peak at that point, and then it just kind of rides down to tie everything off at the end there. You get a lot of good content out of that movie, such as... And I can't remember the group's name, but it's those ghosts that they bring in to help them fight. Like, I thought that was amazing. I loved that.
I hated that those ghosts left, though.
Well, he let them go. He's like, you go.
And then he's like, shouldn't we hang on to those?
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I liked that a lot. And how it was just this huge battle out there in like the Pelennor Fields and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I love playing that video game for Return of the King and just doing that.
Game was
Did you ever play the
video game?
It was like on PlayStation and Xbox. They had a Two Towers one, and they had a Return of the King, and it was just I don't know who made the game. It was just so much fun because you could play multiplayer like 2 people. I don't know if you could play more, and all it was like you would just go and it was just like hack and slash and. You could sit there in one place and guys would just keep coming forever if you wanted to. And I did that multiple times where I'd be like, let's just own dudes. And it was a good time.
All those games were good. Like in the Two Towers game, you're playing as Gandalf and you're up at the top of, I think it's, I don't remember which castle it is, but there's orcs coming up over the side of the wall with grappling hooks. And you've got to keep knocking them off, but also fighting them at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're sitting here defending this whole wall as
stressful.
Gandalf. But it's amazing. It's such a great game.
Fun. It's fun playing it with 2 players too. It's a good game. Good luck finding it.
So good.
But yeah. So did you have a favorite out of the 6?
Two Towers was my favorite because Gandalf came back. I love the Battle of Helm's Deep. That one is way cool because it's kind of like their last stand. I love that part.
Helm's Deep. That's what the Towers is. Where you're fighting at Helm's Deep. Yeah.
But that's my favorite. You got the Ents just show up in there, mess Saruman up.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That one is really good.
So should people go see this movie or wait for it to be on?
This one?
just go see it because it's the last one.
Because it's so epic and how it ends. Like when it I would say go see it in the theaters. And when it ended, I just felt like, man, this is it. This is like the last. It was a bittersweet moment.
It bookends it because it pretty much.
It's like, hey, we're done. There's no more books that are within this series.
There's no more books that we could turn into 3 movies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
unless they turn the epilogue into a movie.
They're like, we just found his journal that he wrote one day. We're making a movie.
I could see them. I could actually see them going back to this world, J.R.R. Tolkien's world, and doing the very first kind of big book that he did. I can't remember the name of it. It's escaping my head, but it basically talks about everything that happened before Lord of the Rings in the kind of the Elven times.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Gosh, I wish I could remember the name.
That would be too much, I think. But
I could see them doing that. I'm not hoping that they do it, but I could see them doing that if they wanted to kind of tap into this money again. That they could go back and do. Oh, it's called the something. People that know it that are listening right now.
I heard it.
Silmarillion?
The Silmarillion. That's it. Thank you.
There you go.
That's it.
I was like, we talked about this yesterday.
I didn't know it took place before. I just thought it encompassed like a ton of stuff. Like it talks about like Gandalf, like how he's really not a wizard, but like some being of light.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there's some potential there because then they can go into like what Elrond was doing at the time, and it basically is everything that leads up to the War of the Ring when they're going up against Sauron.
I'd be cool if they did a War of the Ring, like the first war, not just that little part.
That'd be amazing if they did a War of the Ring.
Because that was actually, because I Wikipedia here, but I was reading like apparently like that was the strongest like the humans and the elves were, and they lost so many people during that war, and that's how come the elves were like kind of scattered to the wind. There wasn't a ton of them. I'd love to watch a movie like that. So. But
all right, cool. So so Brandon, you saw Night at the Museum 3.
Oh yeah, it was a blessing in disguise. No, this movie, it's a good kids movie. If you have kids that are old enough to.
Did you like the first?
I liked the first one. The second one is okay. I can barely even remember what happens in the second one.
I was just thinking about that too. I don't remember.
Yeah, some of the things that were impactful about the third one is Robin Williams is in it, and so it's kind of surreal to see him in this act. Like at the end, they dedicate it to him and everything, so it was really cool. And it was great to see him. He kind of had a more pivotal role in here than in the other ones. He was more of a standout character than he was previously. Other than that, like the biggest thing was the Hugh Jackman cameo. So spoilers if you're so stoked to see this movie and you don't want to hear spoilers about this, but 3, 2, 1. They go to so they're running around with the tablet that brings all the museum to life, and Sir Lancelot has it. He's this knight because they're in the this one takes place at the British Museum of Natural History. So he's running with it because he's like, I'm going to get this back to King Arthur, and King Arthur's going to, give me Lady Guinevere, blah blah blah. It's going to be great. So he gets to this play because he sees all over the city that there's a play called Camelot that's going on. But he doesn't know it's a play. He just sees, he's following the signs to Camelot. And he knows it's a different time. So he's like, whoa, this is weird. Gets there and runs up on stage as Hugh Jackman and Eva...
Mendes?
No, she's in Star Trek Into Darkness. Eva... She's the one that she had her shirt off and everybody complained
Alice
about.
Eve?
Alice Eve. Thank you, Alice Eve. So she's playing Lady Guinevere, and then Hugh Jackman is playing King Arthur.
Wow.
And he comes up on stage, and everybody's kind of like, "What? What's going on?" He's like, "King Arthur, I have the tablet for you. I've completed my quest. I hope that you're pleased with me." And he turns around, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, can you get off the stage? We're doing a play here." And he's like, "No, I get what's going on, but I've completed my quest. You need to acknowledge this, complete this." And he's like, "This isn't real." He's like, "That's a great costume and everything." But he's like, "See?" And he takes his crown off. "Look, I'm not really here." And then he starts to freak out. Sir Lancelot starts to freak out. He's like, "No." He's like, this can't be. He's like, "This is a real world. I know this is real." And he pulls his sword out. He's like, "I'm so tired of this." And he gets ready to fight Hugh Jackman. And Hugh Jackman's like, "Buddy, I'm telling you to knock it off right now." And Sir Lancelot's like, "No," and he starts screaming at all the people in the audience. And then Hugh Jackman's like, "All right, you asked for it." And he goes, "Arr!" And he throws his claws aside, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And then Alice Eve is like, he's Wolverine. He's doing Wolverine right now.
Did he actually have claws come
No, he didn't have claws.
out?
He did the pose. He's like, and he throws his hands inside. He's flexing. He's like gritting his teeth, like, And then the guy's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm Wolverine. Aren't you scared?
He said that.
Yeah. He actually used the word Wolverine, and he does that pose. I was like, this is amazing. Best part of the movie right now. It's the worst thing just for that.
I know.
It was great.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, other than that, like, the rest of the movie was like, okay.
Other than that movie sucked.
Amy Adams' character's pretty good in it. She plays this,
Amy Adams is back?
Yeah, or sorry, not Amy Adams, damn it.
Or do you mean the chick from Pitch Perfect?
Yeah, Fat Amy.
Fat Amy!
Rebel Wilson?
Rebel Wilson, thank you.
Yeah, because Amy Adams was in the second one.
Yeah, so it's Rebel Wilson's character. She's the night guard. So she kind of takes on, that role that exactly.
Jonah Hill had.
That Jonah Hill took in the second one. Jonah Hill.
He wasn't in it very much in the second one.
No, he wasn't. And that's the same thing with her. She's not in it very much, too.
She's just in there to be the funny security guy.
I saw from the preview that what's-his-name is back in it for a little bit.
Ricky Gervais.
Van Dyke, isn't he back in it?
Oh, yeah. All three of those guys are. I was like, whoa, I thought they were all dead. Nope. They're all alive. They come back just for a minute to kind of further the plot along. They're in it for like maybe 5 minutes total, if even that. So just like a small piece that they do, but... Yeah, it was worth seeing with the kids and whatnot. It would be a good one to watch, if you have kids that are around that age. But just that part alone, like, if you have a chance, watch it.
Buddy, I'm telling you to knock it off.
It's great.
I want him to have claws.
Dude, I thought when I saw him getting ready, I'm like, he's going to throw his claws down. They're going to put him in there because the tablet's going to make his claws real. But no, it didn't.
That's fucking hilarious.
The tablet's his claws.
But they would have been those really shitty ones from X-Men Origins Wolverine, where he just looks at him like,
I would have been disappointed again.
He's like, look, they're movie quality.
It's okay that mine aren't movie quality. Jeez. Well, I guess that wraps it up for this year. This has been fun doing this. We've had it going for I think we have 9 episodes total, including our couple specials that we did. I'm surprised we made it this long. You guys have done a really shitty job with everything, so I appreciate that.
You're welcome, sir. I'm looking forward to 2015. Hopefully a lot of good stuff comes.
Yeah, hopefully so. You can find us online at scpopcast.squarespace.com. Kyle, you can also find us on Twitter. What's our Twitter handle?
At Salt City Pop. We're also on Facebook. Just search it under Salt City Popcast.
You can find our RSS feed on our website as well. We've joined a network called Musings of a Geek. They have a lot of other great shows that are in the same vein as our Salt City Popcast. So check out musingsofageek.com. They have a huge lineup there of other shows like ours, the Salt City Popcast. They have the Comic Roast. They've got Golf Strategy to kind of take it in a different direction. MTN Pod, and they have a whole network of other podcasts that you can check out there. So, look us up on their network as well. Check out the other shows that they have, and let us know what you think of our show if you have some time. Rate us on iTunes. You can find us on iTunes as well as our website to check out the episodes in the future. So, thanks everybody for listening. Really appreciate you sticking with us through the episodes that we've done this year. And I'm going to sign off now. This is Brandon.
This is Kyle.
Yeah, this is Chris too.
Have a good year, guys.
You too.
Drying mode on. Jacket drying. Your jacket is now dry.
This is Chris Chin after hours.
Jennifer Lawrence. That was gross.
All right, so we wanted to do an after episode to talk about one of the best pop culture events that unfortunately Chris felt like was missed.
Yeah.
Chris felt like we really missed the train on this one by not talking about it.
You guys crossed it off the list before we even talked about it.
That was 2014's Fap. That's because we have wives. That's 2014's The Fappening. So Chris, can you tell us in detail what this is?
Tell us what The
I am
Fappening
very
is.
unfamiliar with it. I kind of heard about like the cloud and
what's
news.
the internet?
So, I remember
Vividly.
it was the day before, what was it, Memorial Day?
He's got it down.
What? Sure.
I remember it was a
Never forget.
It was a dewy morning, and I awoke and something like a disturbance in the force, like I felt. I was like, I gotta check the interwebs, And what did I find but a gold mine?
A treasure trove.
Not just for... It had pictures for any male's liking. We had Kaylee Kuko or whatever from Big Bang Theory.
Or whatever.
So what happened is somebody hacked people's iCloud accounts.
We don't got to get into specifics.
It was the
here.
fashion blogger known as 4chan.
Yeah, 4chan is a person, apparently. No,
He's a fashion blogger.
But seriously, that was wrong what they did.
Yeah.
You don't think so? You went through every picture. You saved some, and then you thought the FBI was going to get you. You're calling me like, oh man, I think I'm in trouble.
So Brandon, can I borrow your SkyDrive? I'm gonna store some content. So there's open the door. Oh god, I gotta Google Brandon.
There's a little kid out the door.
Whatever. And then Reddit banned the subreddit. Fuckers.
That just ruined your week.
It did. What happened to freedom of speech? They don't own those pictures.
That argument doesn't work for everything.
Jesus
Freedom of
Christ.
speech. What happened to privacy?
Hey,
Hey, you know what? Someone leave these. I have the right to look at them. You can't take them from me.
I have the right to look
But if it
at
happened to you, you'd be...
about damn titties. DEM.
That's why I stopped taking dick pics in 05, because I was afraid something like this would happen.
Yeah, I kept leaving my
You're like,
iCloud
what, a
open.
cloud?
I was like, oh, I hope no one gets in here.
Nope.
Like, I hope no one guessed my password gets into my iCloud.
Admin.
All I'm
password.
saying is that it just brought a whole new, higher level of appreciation for the Hunger Games. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, I mean,
You watched it in different minds.
yeah,
I'm
I did.
uncomfortable being a part of this conversation.
Became the hungriest games.
I could not watch you running around shooting those arrows.
I don't know. I was like, guys, am I the only one getting sweaty in here?
I had a Pee Wee Herman incident.
But seriously, the message I want to drive home is sexually objectifying women. I can't even say, shut up, guys. Cut that part out.
That is stinging.
Really, this is a public service announcement. Sexually objectifying women is wrong, and you shall be ashamed of yourselves. And if you have any of those pictures, we're going to plug my email address in after this. And say, I'm part of a task force. We're rounding up all the pictures, and we're going to delete them from the internet forever. You can put in there. It's Jennifer Lawrence Lover 82 at gmail.com. Put that in the link, Brandon.
Click, 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 click.
Shame on all of you.
Let's just be done.
Yeah, I think that's disgusting and good. Chris got his shame out. That holiday shame was held in there.
All right, calm